Yeah, it's always exciting. I think you're kind of away for 4, 5, 6 weeks, whatever it may be, and you're enjoying your off season, and then you come back in and it feels like you haven't been away. There's been small changes at the club, obviously, with things at the facility, and we were able to use Sassie's facilities, which was amazing. So a big thank you to them. And today was our first proper session on the field, and I think everyone's excited and eager to kind of put their best foot forward because there's obviously a new coach and new staff, so everybody's out to prove themselves.
What does that do for a team when you've got a new coach in? Is everyone really looking to impress, and how eager are the new coaches sort of to do the opposite?
Yeah, well, I think, it doesn't matter what age you are. Like for me, it's, I think, my 14th preseason, but a new coach comes in and you're a little bit nervous because you don't know where you stand. And I think that's a good thing to always kind of be on your toes to make sure that, every day you have to go out there and perform, whether it's the Monday, the first training back, or whether it's the game day that you've got. I think you need to prove yourself. And, maybe, having a coach like Carl who had been here for 5 years, some players felt too comfortable. That's just the reality of football when you have someone there for a long period, and Ayrton's come in, Stencer's come over from the women's program, and Issa's also joined. So individually, you have to, train every day to show why you deserve to play on the weekend.
Obviously, it's a coach who's been involved already, but is there anything that's happened first week or any conversations that have shown that his style is going to change at all compared to Carl's?
I think, Carl wanted to play an exciting brand of football. I think Ayrton's exactly the same. I think, individually they're going to have different things, and Ayrton's been working with the youth team for the last, 4 or 5 years. So it depends on the personnel. I'm sure he'll change things up than the way we've played. But the blueprint of trying to promote young players, play exciting football, to dominate games is going to be the exact same. How you tweak that is obviously going to be in the way we train, in the smaller details that he wants to kind of impose on us. And to be honest, it's day one, so we haven't gone through a lot yet. But, the intensity was there at training, the excitement was there, the attention to detail from Ayrton is obviously there, and that's why they've given him the job, because they think he can be the one to take us to that next level.
Obviously, it was a pretty eventful off-season at the club. I know you're away and a bit far from it, but does it have to be addressed within the playing group, amongst the players or within the staff, about the direction of the club and the things that happened last season?
I don't think so. I think all of us were aware of everything that was going on at the club. I think, maybe the stuff that got, I won't call it leaked because it was obviously in a sit-down interview. That's probably stuff that you don't expect to get outside the four walls, to be completely honest. Every club that I've been a part of, stuff like that goes on day in, day out. But, there's certain things obviously you don't expect to get out. They do get out, and it wasn't that they were trying to hide things or we were trying to hide things. We have those meetings as a leadership group every week, second week, every month, whatever it may be. And as the season went on, obviously, there was different discussions around how do we kind of turn this form slump around that was quite obvious for everyone. And, obviously the stuff that was said in the media, we're not shying away from that. It was the truth. Could it have been handled better? Potentially, yes. But all of the things that were tried were to get us as a club success and not about individuals.
So do you reflect on the stuff that happened last year as stuff that just happens within a football club, or do you think that there were mistakes made and things to fix for the new era?
I think, not just that specifically. I think there was a lot of mistakes made because, as a club, we want to win things, and we didn't do that. Players obviously failed in that. I would say the coaches potentially did, and also the staff. We all need to put our hands up and say things didn't work because we wanted to be champions and we weren't champions. So it's not just on individuals, it's on the whole club. And I'm sure they look at themselves and reflect on that. Yes, could stuff have been dealt with better? Potentially. Obviously, there was the element of trying to protect, a club legend in Carl Viet who, did so much for this game, and not just the club, but, promoting young South Australians. And, he loved the club. He bled for the club. You saw it at the awards night if anyone was there, obviously listening to how passionate he is about the club and still is. So they tried to respect him and obviously give him the season to kind of see out that. Would they have changed things? I'm sure they would have, because, obviously what we tried to do didn't work. But, I think we all just want to move on now and move on. And that's with Ayrton here. Carl's obviously just been announced as the under-17 coach, which is amazing for him. He's not out of a job for too long. And, he gets to stay here in Adelaide and kind of work remotely, I'm sure, by flying into Sydney and wherever else they go. So we're just excited to, to hit the ground running with Ayrton, football in South Australia is a small world, so nobody wants to upset anyone, but sometimes you do have to upset people because, you want this success, and that's what we've spoken about as a club just then in a meeting that we had is, it's not going to be comfortable all the time. You have to have that trust and that unity, but it's not going to be comfortable.
Was any of that what was addressed in that meeting?
It wasn't about the stuff that was spoken about because, as I said, we knew what went on. It was really just about, we need to be honest with each other. We need to reflect. We need to be able to have conversations where if things aren't working, why aren't they working as playing group, as a staff, with the coaches, with the technical director, with anyone at the club. If things aren't working, let's speak about it face to face because we have the trust and the unity within each other, that we can get through this and we're doing it for the right reasons. And I think that's what was done last year. Maybe it wasn't done in the right ways potentially, depending on who you speak to, but there was always the right intent behind everything.
Does the last one on this situation, but does the leadership still have faith? Obviously a lot of the criticism has gone towards Ernest. Does the leadership group still have faith in his position?
Yeah, 100%. I think he's someone that would be happy to say, put it all on me. He's a strong enough person to handle that criticism, and he enjoys that confrontation. And I think, being honest, and he said it today, to be reflective of him. If you're not happy with him, come and tell him. And the same way with us players, if we're not happy with something, we've got to go to the staff, or if they're not happy with us, they need to come to us. So everybody has trust with everybody that's been appointed, whether it's the coaches, assistant coaches. Ernest in his position, everybody's fully bought in, and if they're not bought in, I think they'll make it known, and they'll probably be shown not the door in a bad way, but said, you're open to other opportunities because we want everyone to be, united, and obviously everything that we do is to win every single thing that we do this season.
Speaking of the leadership group, obviously Craig comes in, he'll be in action within a few weeks hopefully. How nice is that for you, and particularly as a leader, to have someone with that experience come in as well as having the players?
Yeah, I think we lost, some of the older experienced players in Issa and Hovey and even Elsie and Tunnicliffe, for example, who are older players, and we haven't replaced those guys yet. I don't know obviously what the club's planning to do with that, but having Craig come in, obviously off, on the field we know what he can produce, but I think it's more so off the field and at training. Those players are a great example for the young ones coming through, because we do have so many young players coming up in South Australia to say, look, this guy here, he grew up, in Adelaide. He dreamed of playing for Adelaide United, he dreamed of playing for the Socceroos. He was able to do that. So, follow in his footsteps and listen to him and ask him questions, and he'll set the standard as he always does. And, as Kiddo's done for the last few years, he's been really, really good with that. We just try and set the standard for the younger players, and obviously then with the coaching staff as well, telling us what they expect us, and we hopefully filling the boots of all the past players that have gone before us in, Issa and Hovey, for example. So
how nice is it having Issa still involved on the staff?
Yeah, it's great. I think he's someone that's been a club legend, another one that's been around for so long as a captain, and then went away and then came back as a player, and he just has so much experience within football in general, but also here in Adelaide, and understanding what it takes to be a winner, which is what we want to do with everything we do. So he's going to be able to pass that on. I'm sure he's going to take a bit of time to kind of understand his role and what Ayrton expects of him, and probably keeping the distance from the players so he's not too close to us, because it is a different position. But his football IQ is extremely high, and the level of care he has for the players that he showed in the years gone by when he was still a player, obviously is the reason why they've wanted to kind of keep him around, and even having Hovey as well involved. I think it's important to keep Adelaide United players involved in the club, whether it's playing staff or office staff, because as the players, you understand the culture and you understand what it means to play for the club. So if we can keep more players around, I think it will only be better for the club. Yeah, no, he looked quite good. He was obviously someone that they signed last year, and it was a little bit of a strange one for some of the fans maybe to understand, where they signed him and loaned him straight out back to Holland. And I don't know what the intention was behind it, but obviously now he's come here, and hopefully he can have a really good pre-season and put his best foot. In saying that, we've got a lot of good players in the youth team, and I think the defensive structure, as much as it's about personnel playing, whether it's centre back or full backs, I think there's a lot more that we can improve on defensively that will probably ease the pressure on the centre backs and the goalkeeper as well. It's a collective effort, and I think that's something that we're going to work through with Ayrton is how do we want to press, how do we want to, I guess, keep the ball better so we're not kind of exposed too much in the transition, and then defensively, obviously the principles that he wants to kind of play. Yes, they're centre backs, so they kind of get judged on clean sheets, but the striker, the winger, the number 10, they're probably the ones that actually are almost more important in the defensive side of it.